Welcome back to the third and final match for tonight's league games. So far, we've had some interesting runs through this game as we have looked at it so far. But right now, it is me, Gormizer, and joining me again is going to be Heyday, casting for you for one more game this week.
Hello. We are in week 3 of 5. This is game 3 of 3. And up until this point, we had a pretty solid leaderboard, but today saw some shakeups. As of last week, first place was Smithy with 126 points. L2P Lush, second place with 96. Raptor to Raptor in third with a tie with Katie Cakes with 56 points. P Zuka, who we just saw earlier, with 51 points in the fourth place. Texas, 50 points. MJ Yo, 50 points. Gazira, 48 points. Saturday, 43 points, and Fine, 37 points. Fine with the second place earlier today, which you'll see him definitely going up the leaderboards there. But then it got interesting in the last game. Dark Dreams with a 12-kill win, which could potentially see him in that 10 spot there after this week, especially if he has another successful game now. And of course, the shakeup, though, I was, and we can get into this later because there's some parts of the rules that I found very interesting in case of a tie at the end of the 5 weeks. And I was pushing for that because a pan-off sounds amazing. We can get into that later. But the real shakeup was that Lush went down really early and Smithy lasted to the end. But again, it was Dark Dreams with the impressive run there, 12 kills.
Yeah, but jumping into this game, what we're seeing is already going to be just as high impact and high violence as the first game. A lot of spawns right over the military base, and we're going to be seeing Josue there pick up the first kill very fast at this military base. And we saw a lot of players jump out here, the same, almost exact same flight that we got to see earlier on, and now kind of in a standoff. I actually see Salazar running around with a machete, doing his best Friday the 13th impression, but not able to get a kill with it, looking for a frag, a gun, anything that he can get to kill cash money while fights go on, gunshots fired all around Josue, looking for another kill as well. Players all around. He has a shotgun, 5 shots to his name to try and get this. Should be able to find it because he's fighting someone with their fists out.
Poor thing, dying in the corner with the fists out. Josue with 2 kills now. And this is going to be an interesting circle because last time we saw so many people up north, the circle down below, but this is definitely going to favor those on the mainland. As you can see, some late arrivals to the game. Smithy is a late parachute down to the boat there, and this is my personal favorite strats here. And we've seen some of this in the previous weeks with some players grabbing those boats and going in some crazy directions to find loot away from everyone else. It looks like Smithy's going to try and take advantage of that as well.
And that's one of those plays I really like to see these players, just especially because when you see someone like Smithy who tends to take that top 10 spot and take that top 5 spot for a long time, they want to go in a safer place to loot. They want to be able to have more loot to themselves. And while we see a lot of these players, whoever comes out alive from this military base will ultimately have a lot of loot on their backs, they're still going to have to fight a bunch of other players for that. And right now, 6th Rune kind of finding that one out the hard way, waiting around. Does have full auto AK, might be able to find the kill, but he's up against a shotgun, and it looks like they are just waiting. Cash Money should have a little bit of an advantage. Actually, that's a car that he is holding now that I'm looking at it, and that's going to be him taken down relatively fast. He had 4 shots. That's what kind of teed me off there. And unfortunately for him, as good of a rifle as that can be, he really needed a headshot.
Yeah, in the close quarters, the AK should always beat the car there, I think, unless you get the headshot, of course. These players now thinning the herd there, as you see Josue here already with a couple kills, going in and looking for that sweet loot. Stage 2 backpack, the Stage 2 helmet, and starting to actually accumulate some goodies here. As you can see, the herd is thinned, but they are going to have to make their way to the mainland. While on the mainland, we do see some bunches, and this could get exciting very early on as we are down to 76 alive.
The circle, this game, being a lot less taxing on the player base than it was in the last one, being a lot more kind to those players that are all around. And looking at Real Napalm here, actually inside the circle for, I think, the first time today, going to be in there and not going to die outside of it like he did last game, but he is going to be kind of rough for loot. I actually think he is currently with, I think that's 2 shotguns on his back. I can't tell what the other one was, if it was an SK-12 or if he had an M16 on his back, but really kind of running forward with it, looking for it the best he can in the kind of outskirts of Pochinki. A lot of potential for a lot of fights over here, which again, that's kind of the reputation Pochinki has. It's the center of the map. It's probably the best place to be in terms of circle length, but at the point where it is, actually I see as the kill feed, Josue being able to pick up 6th rune there at the military base, it's a favorable place for a lot of players there in Pochinki. So a lot of people tend to land there and then die off very quick, as we see another crate being dropped over here on the left-hand side, just away from the shooting gallery. So that's actually going to be pretty good for a couple players, but right in the middle of an open field.
Yeah, we see 70 here, and don't see this so much in play, but you have Red Eagle and a couple others down there taking advantage of the that is there. As you mentioned, the crate dropping down in a very open area, and this could tempt these players into pursuing in the firefight, although it looks like the player that was down in the shooting gallery is going to move away from the crate and try to move towards the circle.
Yeah, just trying to keep it safe. One of the issues, this kind of comes with a lot of the northern cities, but Severny specifically, is a lot of the circles don't favor this town. A lot of circles make it so you are in a rough spot, and half of it right now being inside the circle is actually going to be very good for them, just because right now Red Eagle, Rhino Main, both of these players are names that we've gotten to call out for the past couple weeks. They don't have to worry too much or too much about having to get into the circle. They don't have to rush. They don't have to look for a vehicle, as we see. It actually looks like Lush waiting patiently, expecting to get attacked, but not going to be getting too aggressive. A shotgun and an ump to his name, very close range, and just trying to keep his eyes on Lukash there, who's up against the wall, taking some shots, but not going to be able to find any of them.
Yeah, and unfortunately in a tough spot here with little health and no way to heal it at the moment. This is putting Lush in a very tight squeeze since that last game. He dropped early, and he's really trying to hold that second spot on the leaderboard. And before we came into this week, it looked like Lush and Smithy were potentially going to cruise their way through and hold those top 2 spots after Lush's fine performance last week. But as you see, new players are stepping up. Dark Dreams today with 12 kills. And those places up on the top of the leaderboard are not so firm as we might have thought before.
Yeah, especially being able to shake it up. And while, you know, Smithy right now, like we mentioned it earlier, does have 126 points, while Lush is at 96. You can get a lot from a couple games, from a couple top finishes. I mean, with 12 kills in first place, Dark Dreams is definitely going to be able to skyrocket himself right onto the leaderboard as it stands, at least into the top 10 as it stands. And a lot of these other players, especially with Lush falling so early in the last game, that gives more players that opportunity to climb forward. High kill, high placing games are going to be the best thing you can do. Even low kill, high placing is going to be the biggest one, but as long as you can make it to those top 10, you're going to be able to find yourself in a comfortable spot. You might be able to find yourself going again. I mean, we mentioned a couple games ago, Fine, he found that second place. He's definitely going to be able to jump up there, as Rhino Man looking to run away from the crate. Got a little bit of loot for himself, and looks like he's feeling comfortable, as now he now has a nice opportunity because he's in this open field. He got a sniper, and he can maybe catch some of those other players as they come out of Severny. Of course, the option at this point is up to him. He has the full reign over here. No one's really looking at him, so he can run wherever he wants. He has that ability, and he's another one of those players who's able to kind of make it to the top 20, top 10 sometimes, but we haven't gotten to see him do so just yet, and this is a really good setup for him to be able to make that push.
Absolutely. Sitting in a good spot, and no one around him right now. So unfortunately, it's not going to allow him to use that sniper rifle yet and pick up some of those kill points. But we do have a standoff right here, right now, as Reptar watches the door open right in front of him and is taking painkillers to pre-med this potential firefight. Or was that him opening the door?
I don't know what it comes through. As
Got
it seems like it's a spectator glitch is what I'm hearing. But I don't see anyone close enough to him. Like, I understand wanting to pre-med and try, like, before a fight, but it looks like we might actually see Funk Daddy possibly find some shots. He has that AKM over here, and Zarky does have the advantage of range with him, considering I saw a micro Uzi in the hands of the other one. But now, I mean, at this point, he has to be on point and has to be looking for him. It looks like he's just looting it up. He's not worried at all if he puts his guns away like that and is running around. Funk Daddy thinks he is absolutely alone, and honestly, with the way it's going, Reptar is on the other side of the town. He might as well be.
Absolutely. Still a lot left. Lush here in the same predicament as before, low on health, taking some shots fired in his direction now, and really just trying to stay alive and survive to work his way out of the 60s here.
Looking to try and stay alive, and again, like you had said, with this low health, it's going to be rough for him. He does have the stare advantage, should be able to catch Lukash coming down. At this point, he must be full auto, waiting to peek. The camera angle not exactly favoring him. He doesn't realize Lukash is down there, and Lukash going to take the car, drive a little bit. And I like the call to kind of move the car away and just make Lush think maybe he's trying to run away, maybe he's moving around the building. Just kind of playing those mind games.
Absolutely. It starts to get you thinking. The heart starts racing. He can hear the footsteps circling the house, and it starts to really put you in a place, especially when you're on such low health. Lukash has been hanging out here for quite a while. Definitely wants to take Lush out if he can. This could be it right here.
And looking for the final push. No grenades on his belt, which really would just make this so much easier for him. Lukash looking to potentially cause some more mind games again, moving the car around, just causing Lush to freak him out, like you had said, just to kind of cause him some distress. But it seems like Lush holding the same position. There's only one way for Lukash to get up there, and since he doesn't have any grenades, he can't throw anything. He doesn't have that opportunity. He can't climb anything on the outside. This staircase is the one thing standing between him and killing Lush, and it seems like he recognizes that, and he also recognizes how bad of a position this could be for him as he's just kind of skirting around the door, gets spotted out. Lush knows he's around, and at this point is just waiting patiently to peek it out. Should be able to find some headshots, both with level 1 helmets. It's going to be an easy down if he can find them.
Yeah, that's a tough spot, though. He doesn't know if Lush is holding any meds, so he doesn't this time. Doesn't really know what he's up against at this point so far. So like you said, it's a big gamble if he tries to go up there. So playing it very cautiously right now. I love it, though. I love this standoff. This is exciting, especially with a player of Lush's capacity. Yes, especially with a player like Lush, who is up there on the leaderboards. The potential to get knocked out is an exciting one, especially for the other players that are trying to work their way up.
And this is similar to something we saw last week, actually. I believe it was Red Eagle. I can't remember if it was 6th Rune, but they were locked in the school, just waiting for the other one to make the move that was going to end up killing them. And that's the same kind of thing here. Lukash actually does have the choice. He can leave. The car is right there. There's no way that Lush is going to be able to find the kill unless he reacts almost instantaneously and gets the perfect shots as he drives away. I mean, as it's standing right now, it's looking like a better position for Lush to just kind of sit put. He's going to be the one who has to get aggressed on, but the circle is not going to be good for them, and it looks like Lukash is looking to run away at this point. This is the call that I would have made, just kind of leave, although actually parks the car, is baiting Lush out of the building, and with the range he has an M16. All he needs to find is a couple shots. That's going to be an easy kill if Lush makes this mistake.
Sizing him up. Sitting on the corner there. Lukash really just antagonizing him with a short drive here and there, but now it looks like he will finally maybe try and go get some more loot there. As you mentioned, he only had a level 1 helmet. It looked like low armor as well. So that's the tough part. As you mentioned, it was, wasn't it, Red Eagle and another locked in the military, or in the school rather, for about 5 to 7 minutes. And while that could be a good move to potentially get a kill and take someone out, at the same time, you're losing a lot of valuable loot time. Even if you're still in the circle and you're safe, everyone else is potentially getting geared up around you.
And just trying to play it safe again, at that point, Lukash is in this position where it's like, I don't need the kill. You don't need it. It's going to be 1 point in the difference when you're looking at, in the top 60s at the time. You don't need that kill as badly as you think. You have the ability to run away, and it looks like that's going to be the choice he makes. And again, like you said, getting that better loot is going to be a lot better for him. And it looks like B-Man here, I really like this. He has the P18C, probably one of my favorite pistols, my favorite pistol in the game. Not probably. It absolutely is. Full auto, I use that. It's just wonderful to have in place of an SMG if you want to pick up a sniper or a shotgun. Have something else maybe. Just keep that close range available for you. But it looks like he's not going to be causing any distress here, as the car is just going to be picked up and driven away from him. And it looks like it's good as Reptar right outside of the circle, taking some tick damage, but looking to really just disable this Dulcia and allow himself to get aggressive. The door just opened for him, so he might be able to find some fights here, but it ultimately looks like he just needs to get in there, get healed up, and find himself a better position.
Moving in on the blue, but out in the direction of sort of the trying to keep it safe, trying to get into some of this. And I guess looking to get healed up here as the meds are popped. Taking out all the vehicles around the area. He wants to be the only one in a car at the end of this game.
And, I mean, being able to do that, it's going to give him just a little bit of an advantage because any of the players that are out here, which as we can see is really only Funk Daddy, he's going to be able to just cause them that trouble of you now have to run to get into the circle. As we're going to kind of pop over here, Dodo Uncut, one of the players we got to see make some interesting plays last game as they fought for the rock. Now looking to try and fight for this house just below Fatty McNugget. In this kind of position, again, the stairs are your best savior. You have a nice advantage because you get to see the player just before they can see you. You get that ability to try and find the headshot if you can get in. With the shotgun, he should be able to find a nice kill as Dodo Uncut going to be able to kill DJ Doodoo as he comes through, but he's going to get caught out now looking for the kill. Fatty McNugget ran right by him. Some shots being thrown out. They know where they are, and they're just dancing around these walls. Shotgun shot going to come through, and Dodo Uncut going to get taken down by the double barrel.
Yeah, that was a really nice move to flank around to the other door and come up on the side of him. Really well played in that situation where he potentially had the not the upper hand, being on the bottom floor, being outside of the house. Really nice takedown there.
We're actually going to see a few players that have been knocked out that I've been looking at, just a couple of names, but Katie Cake's going to be the one. I feel like I mentioned her. Now I've mentioned her every week, whereas it comes out. She was number 4 last week. She was number 2 in week 1, but she just hasn't had that performance. And one of the things that we've kind of looked at is the fact that she tends to get caught out. She just doesn't have the best awareness for this kind of mid-game where it comes down. That's one of the discussions we've really been able to kind of crack into some of these players. She is one that we have seen regularly get to the point where she's in a decent position, but then just makes one bad move and ends up paying for it. And as we see right there, going to get knocked out and not going to be able to make it any higher than top 50. And unfortunately for her, that's going to affect her score because now, I mean, sitting at 56 points, that's not going to be very comfortable when you have players getting 12 kills in number 1.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you could argue that the potentially the hardest part of the game. The circle starts moving faster. Everybody's getting pushed on top of each other. There's not so many fresh bodies with potentially no gear to take advantage of and take down. At that point, usually everybody is geared up and they're moving in on the circle. And you see moments like this where someone has the advantage just by a second difference in placement of a hill or in a building. And, you know, and the difference between that and the end game is that in the end game, you know, you're down to almost a manageable amount of people. So I think that's why that happens for some players in the mid game and why it's hard for them to manage, because there's so much coming from so many different directions potentially. Smithy getting into it here does manage to get healed up. This could be a good fight, and this is your leaderboard leader right here, your ladder number 1, and so it's always worth the watch, because if this guy goes down here in the 40s, this is going to allow other people to creep up potentially into that number 1 spot.
And the thing that I really got out of that last just small skirmish when it came down to it is Kavorka saw him, got the shots off. He has a shotgun, so he got a lot of health down very fast. But Smithy's reaction time was almost instantaneous to pop up and start taking Kavorka down to almost the exact same health that Smithy was at. Of course, now retreating. Looks like he may have found a vehicle, a motorcycle to run away. Shot's going to be aimed, but not taken. M24 on the back of Kavorka. Is looking dangerous. He's running the sniper shot. He has very, very limited range. He is either long or very close up. But with the open field, he doesn't need to be very close up. He has that advantage. And honestly, with the hill he's on, the geography is kind of playing its way to him. As it looks like Nobsy here going to be caught out. Spaz, another player, great with grenades, as we learned in the last game, looking to be just in a little bit of a fight.
Yeah, and Smithy's reaction time, not just to get the shots off, but also to get that heel off and then get down behind the hill there. Nice shots here coming from Nobsy, and Spaz is looking real low.
looking to try and probably just hide behind the tree, heal up with whatever he has. But Nabzi doesn't seem to have any healing options. Otherwise, I believe that's what he'd be doing at this point in time, just sitting there waiting. And I like the way he's holding this angle on the tree. He's making sure that he's keeping as much of him hidden as possible while he's able to get a full view of Spaz. And he's just kind of holding him down in that cover and recognizes where Spaz is going to look and tries to get whatever tiny shot he's able to find.
Yeah, that looked really nice. I thought he was, oh, wow.
What a headshot.
The tables turned there, and that's the beauty of this game, is that I thought that hit on Spaz the first time he peeked around that rock was going to be a headshot for the kill. Didn't hit it, and Spaz comes back right at him and takes him down.
That's one of those moments you get to see those every now and then, but that one is just a very good showcase of how important it is to hit those shots. Like, you need to hit the first ones, because once they know where you are, once they see how you're sitting, that positioning right there, he knows where your head's going to pop out. He knows where to aim. And even if it's going to take him just a split second to get there, he's going to be able to find that headshot. And that's exactly what we get to see. And he gets to take the spoils because of it, as now we are at 40 alive. The circle, 20 seconds until it starts closing down. A lot of players still needing to get in there, and a lot of them looking to still be locked out. Reptar, Enap, and Fairy Tale of Sin all just around each other, around the one almost guaranteed car spawn here around Georgia Pole. And it's looking like Fairy Tale of Sin knows where Enap is. Enap knows where Fairy Tale of Sin is. I'm not sure if either of them recognize Reptar's positioning here.
Yeah, I think Reptar's the only one that has a beat on both of them, and he does get to kill on Enap as well, who was focused on Fairy Tale of Sin right there. So nice takedown and nice awareness of Reptar to see that firefight going between them and to take advantage of that for his own gain.
Unfortunately, though, that is going to kind of reveal himself in position as we, I think we're having a couple of issues in the background as we'll get that sorted out. But just having that position and being able to hold it, getting the headshot, again, that's going to be the most important thing to look at. Is a lot of these players with the armor they find, they're usually going to be stuck with a level 1 helmet. They're not going to have a lot of head protection. And when it comes down to it, those bullets are going to eat through that. And like we got to see in pretty much both of the last fights we've watched, that's what gets eaten through. The one bullet, one tap, one shot is all it's going to take. And that's unfortunate for them. They just weren't able to find anything better, weren't able to get that upgrade. That level 3 helmet just showing how much worthwhile it is to find that, just because you get to live through a couple of shots.
Absolutely. For those of you wondering about the scoring situation here in the PUBG League solo ladder, it's a season of 5 weeks. We are in week 3 here, the third game of 3. And the scoring goes as follows. First place gets 30 points. Second place is 25. Third is 20. Fourth is 15. Fifth is 10. 6th through 10th is 5 points each spot. And 11th and beyond is 1 point each, plus the kills count into that total as well. So that's the scoring. The prizes for the tournament here are some really nice mice for the top 3 places. And as we mentioned before, there's a very interesting aspect in case there's a tie. It's called the pan-off. At the end of the season, if players happen to be tied and a clear first to third is not determined, players will play a special tiebreaker to determine placement. The pan-off server settings include circle set to fast speed, no meds, only pans, machetes, and sickles for weapons. And they all go in there in that special setup, and they fight to a bloody death for the winners. And it's very exciting to see. And coming into this week 3, I studied the first 2 weeks of play in the CAS and really got to know the players and how they had worked their way into the leaderboard so far. And so it's been a pleasure for me in this 3rd week to see how the leaderboard is now shaping up with some new names and some of the regular heavy hitters.
And really, I mean, I just want to see a pan off. Like, I don't care about the placing. I don't care which 3 players it is. I want to see that fight. Like, I just want to see as many people. Like, I want a 10-way tie for first, and I want to see all of them go at it with the pan. But unfortunately, that's going to be relatively risky, because with 1 point being awarded for each kill, it's going to be kind of shaky overall. And whoever can kind of get that, there's going to be like one person that's going to just kind of eke ahead each time. As it stands, though, we're looking now 28 left alive. Actually, make that 27 as we see Dozing Chopper just get annihilated there as we make this flyby. and it looks like a couple of these players are going to be safe, ultimately sitting around where they are. They have about 5 seconds until the circle closes down to this next spot, and they're going to be forced to move, and there are quite a few still just sitting on the edge, a couple still sitting outside the circle taking that damage just to try and stay safe, being locked down. Unfortunately for them, they're going to be kind of forced into a position where they either have to choose bullets or circle for that damage. It looks like Jay Snipes probably in one of the more favorable positions for this new circle, and a hut right by the nice big gaps over here in Gatka, as a couple of other players, as we see Total T-Mac, Angry Guy, all of them wide open field.
Jay Snipes is a name we've heard through the last couple weeks. Took 4th place in Game 2 last week. It looks like he's going to push on to Total T-Mac here. And boom goes Total T-Mac. Nice kill from Jay Snipes. 22 left alive, and the circle is pushing in.
Now we're going to be seeing a couple players still dying outside. Rhino Main going to be able to kill Red Eagle. A couple of other names we've seen as right now Jack, with the one sniper he has, going to get locked down. Taylor G should have the bead on him, knows where he is, got some of those shots off. The healing looking like it's bandages, unfortunately, with the slow tick. Nope, there it is, going to be a nice big med kit going to keep him a full health and allow him to fight, as Fairy Tale of Sin going to get taken down. Jay Snipes going to get that kill. Smithy taking out Wino Cake, who was number 2 in the last match. It's going to be big, as Sozamix recognized that he wasn't going to make it there, decided ultimately he didn't have heals, didn't have what he needed. B-Men also going down outside the play zone, bringing us down to 17, as Funk Daddy going to get taken down as well.
Yeah, Funk Daddy goes down, 16 alive. Here comes an airdrop. We see 3 players that are low on health. It looks like one of them managed to heal up there, but some players without heals. This is going to be a few bodies dropping here, as they are going to potentially fight over this crate, which is in a very open area, except for the house that it landed right in front.
And Keza here actually in a really good position to try and rush up on that. No one has a very good line of sight. Rhino Main might be able to find it, but it's going to be relatively long range, a little bit harder to hit those shots depending on the speed of Keza. With a car right there, with the tree right there, with some rocks all around there, ultimately going to be relatively good cover, but it looks like Keza is more so waiting to bait that one out as we're going down. 14 left alive, and not going to make that move, not going to make the aggressive play, but ultimately going to use that as kind of a bait for other players to come up. As a flaming car running through their vehicle explosion, Pizuka got the kill on the Fergs, and that's going to be just a nice clean kill. Smooth Carbon going to be seeing that vehicle run by, knows that someone is nearby and watching any cars that might pass.
Yeah, that's must be terrifying to see from the ground level. By back over by the crate, looked like the Muffin Man had a bead on it as well, and could potentially be waiting for one of them to pop out. Here's Pizuka taking a look at Smithy here. Not sure if he knows that he's there, but he is looking in the right direction here. They are up there on the leaderboard together. Of course, Smithy up in the #1 spot and Pizuka in the 5th spot, looking to add some kill points, but with no scope at all on that UMP.
Yeah, unfortunately not able to find the kills he wants. And Pizuka was one of those players we got to see, and right now is kind of playing similar to a game we saw last week where he's caught outside the circle, and this one is doing chunks of damage. As we can see, he has taken that hit. He doesn't have a vehicle to run to, and he is caught outside of it. He's running as fast as he can. He did find a UAZ close by, so he should be able to get in, but that's going to announce his presence. Smooth Carbon is sitting right there, just waiting for someone to make that mistake to fly in, and it's going to be right there. Pizuka's going to stop, doesn't notice, or maybe he does. No, he doesn't see it, and Smooth Carbon going to be able to pick that one up. Top 10, but now Smooth Carbon's the one outside the circle. Should be able to get in no problem. Falls down, should heal up, but that was just going to be a clean kill. And ultimately, I mean, similar to what we saw last game, living pretty much just through the lay of the land, not worried about cover at all.
Yeah, it was a nice takedown there, moving back into the circle. Looks like Surdy and Smithy here in a firefight by this house, and this is going to potentially call the herd a little bit. Smithy goes down. Surdy, or Fast Killer, actually, with the kill. Looked like there was a third there taking advantage of that fight.
Looking like it's going to go as we actually see Fast Killer taken down by Sir as well. 8 left alive, and he is sitting about half health. Taylor G in the neighborhood looking for a kill. Hears all these shots, recognizes there are players nearby, and knows better than to get too aggressive. Sir going to be able to heal up there, and ultimately looking for the movement they need. This circle falling perfectly for us right in the middle of an open field. Very little cover. Ultimately, it's looking like a couple rocks and a lot of bushes and small trees. a lot of bloodbath, and these players are going to wait this one out as long as they possibly can. And Smooth Carbon, I actually believe, with the playstyle he's had so far, it's going to pretty much match what he's been doing. But Taylor G and some of these others are going to be forced to move forward.
Absolutely. Taylor G on the cusp there, and it looks like he might be able to get a beat on Sir when he comes out from that cover there. And the Muffin Boy sitting in the middle, looking like the best position on that circle right now. JQOB moving in with the UAZ. This is dangerous right now because there's a lot of places where these guys are hiding in bushes and in the grass. And if you stop that UAZ in the wrong spot, just like Smooth Carbon got that hit previously, you're looking to be a sitting duck there. And oh, snap.
Kayza able to pick up that kill there, running in, barely going to be able to outrun the circle. Solo health, but makes it out alive, gets the kill. 5 left alive. Smooth Carbon inside the circle, just barely. Muffin Boy inside the circle, just barely. And them and Kayza all kind of locked in this triangle of open field, where as we see Sir and Taylor G still very close to each other on the other side. Not yet fallen is any of the top 5 players, but I hear some shots being fired, and ultimately they're waiting patiently as Sir going to be taking shots from behind. Taylor G picks up another kill and ultimately finds a better position. That house awarding just an ultimate cover right now.
Absolutely. He did wait very patiently for Sir to push out of cover and get pushed out by the blue. Hit that rock there, took him down. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of crawling here in this final circle because there's not a lot of cover for these guys to maneuver between. And Kayza there with a nice ride of the blue. I call that surfing the wave when you're just rolling in with it and taking it in and really playing that game of taking massive ticks of damage at this point versus being able to get a quick kill coming outside of the blue. He does have some pretty good cover. Of course, he's going to get pushed out of that off that UAZ, but right now he potentially has the best cover out of all these guys. The rest of them sort of sitting in the middle of the field.
So Smooth Carbon right now is the one that I'm kind of glancing at. Is he doesn't have an extended mag. He has 13 shots in that vector. I believe from what I heard earlier, as a silencer on there. But I've only seen him holding out this vector. As far as I know, that SMG is the one weapon that he is like just wielding. It looks like it might have a car as well as he pulls that one out and a nice scope on it. So keeping himself, again, kind of easy mid to close range and a nice long range weapon in an open field like this. It's going to be very good for him. The circle closing though. Players going to be forced to move. Kayza crawling as fast as they can to try and get in. The same thing goes for Muffin Boy, but he's going to get caught out, taking chunks of damage at this point. Barely going to be able to sneak it in there and has a nice bush to kind of use as cover there. But it looks like a lot of these players are just kind of on the cusp of it, being forced closer and closer. A pan being held right now by Taylor J. Going to switch over. But this is getting, I mean, as close range as it gets, and a nice grenade lands right on top. And unfortunately for Smooth Carbon, that spells his way out of this game. We're in top 3.
Top 3 here. Very nice play. And you can see Kayza does have the meds to pre-med there, get the stims going, and ride out this blue wave every time it hits. Taylor also pre-medded, and it looks like the Muffin Boy is as well. So these guys are in good shape. This is going to potentially come down, though, to how much ammo they have in those guns. As you mentioned, Smooth Carbon earlier was very low on his vector, and how much healing power they have going into this. And if they can get that pre-med going before they get into the final circle as they're pushed in here by the blue.
And Taylor G looking to have a nice little bit of an advantage. I actually like this combo of gun that they have going into this. The AK and the SKS going to allow a lot of damage in a small amount of time, although running the way that they are right now should be spotted out. I don't know if the Muffin Boy saw him, but Kayza definitely did, but the shot's going to be returned over, actually being sprayed around. Taylor going to get a lot of damage and ultimately going to be able to find the kill. Now top 2, but giving their position away. Muffin Boy, we only need 1 kill to win it, and he finds exactly what he needs. Gets number 1, only has that single kill. 6 kills on Kayza there, but unfortunately that is not going to be enough to kind of bring that one up, and it's going to be looking like a good top 10 coming out of that. Muffin Boy clinches it.
Yeah, clinches it with 1 kill, as you said, rounding out the top 3. Taylor G with 3 kills, Kayza with 6, and Fast Killer down the list there with 6 as well. It looks like that was the high for the round. Of course, we saw the highest kill count yet so far in game 2 today with 12 kills. But this round here played to a final circle in the middle of a field, lots of crawling, lots of stims, and not so many kills. But as you mentioned, it only takes one, sometimes even no kills to win potentially here, as you are fighting not just the players, but that blue area as well.
And Smithy being knocked out there, number 10 on the leaderboard, but that is going to be just another big hit. He still makes it into the top 10. He's still going to get some decent points for it, and ultimately might be able to retain that number 1 spot just because of the point lead he has going into this. But coming out of it, that's going to be bringing a lot of people a lot closer than I feel like he would be comfortable with, and it's going to be making next week and the week after a lot more competitive for these players and how high they place. And I mean, as it stands this game, I mean, this week, we will be having the points come out, and as we go through and get the scores, should be out by tomorrow and ultimately have the leaderboard updated. But I expect to see him still at the top. Lush, though, is going to be kind of on the bad receiving and didn't really make it that high in those last 2 games, and ultimately looks like he's going to get knocked down potentially out of his spot. A couple of those other players were able to make it higher place than he was, but as it stands, only the points will tell, and that's going to be I mean, as we see, not only tomorrow when it's updated, but as we go into next week, what these players are able to do.
Yeah, I did the math earlier today, and trust me, I'm no math genius. I'm an art major, so you know, the math isn't going to be super precise. But in my head, I'm seeing Smithy retain that number 1 spot because it would have taken someone placing very high repetitively throughout this contest today. Along with some pretty high kill counts. And we did see Dark Dreams with the 12 bomb there. And so that is going to be a significant amount of kills to add points to. But the win was 1 out of 3. And so we did see some other players mix it up as well. So very exciting times here. I think as you get further along in the weeks, it will get more and more exciting as it plays out and the leaderboard really rounds itself out. I think the first week, as you mentioned, lower player count, it really did allow some of the players to get into that top 10 spot easier than the next 2 weeks, so to say. Not to take anything away from them. They still got there. They still played. And, you know, this is why we play, right? To see who comes out on top, because it's not necessarily going to be the same person. And you mentioned Lush having a rough day today, while last week he placed first place in 2 out of 3 games. So ups and downs of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds as we all face when we play the game. And it's not any different for these guys here, just potentially doing it against a higher level of players.